birds. Hello, guys. The house sparrows have never been this close before. They're usually very timid, which means they want treats. Everyone wants treats, I get it. We all love our treats. Snow isn't as crunchy today, so it's probably going to be a really nice day for ASMR and for our discussions in the woods. Welcome, everyone. It's a windy day. However, it's not as cold as recent days. The skies are just unbelievably beautiful and blue, is what I wanted to say. Beautiful. I don't see a single chemtrail in the sky. Oh, it's just so nice to finally see blue skies the way they're intended by God, without human interference. How nice is that? Welcome, everyone. Come on in. We're gonna hit an area up here where the signal goes out for a few seconds, so just bear with as I get through here. Have a look at the beautiful sky, and we'll get some sun gazing in a minute. And then we'll get started with our discourse. Have a look at the beautiful sky, and we'll get some sun gazing in a minute. And then we'll get started with our discourse. Have a look at the beautiful sky, and we'll get some sun gazing in a minute. And then we'll get started with our discourse. Have a look at the beautiful sky, and we'll get some sun gazing in a minute. And then we'll get started with our discourse and refresh what was discussed. Perhaps there may have been some questions asked by individuals who want to see and listen to their answers, the answers. And so I am screen recording today. And I did a big memory dump. I dumped a lot of stuff, so we should have enough, and I mean plenty of hard drive space, to get all the way through even a 3-hour discourse, so long as the battery doesn't run out, which probably will happen before a 3-hour broadcast. So we'll just take it in stride and breathe. Breathe as we go. Start working with our shadow selves. Wow, what a day. This is a majestic day. So gorgeous. I mean, the sky is violet purple. Purple blue. Deep, deep hues of blue today. I'm not sure if the camera does it justice, but it is perceivable here. Wow. We are in New England. For those who may be wondering. And here is our first waypoint. We'll take in some sun, and I'll say hello to all you beautiful folks. Hello, I love Nirvana. Good to see you. Let's flip the camera for a moment here. Get some sunshine. Where's my little bird friend? Asks Yan and Ying. They are awaiting their treats. They are awaiting their treats, wondering when the goodies are coming. Ram, Mem, Aries, what happened there? Thanks for the love. Mr. Tommy Pickles says, I'm just soaking in the fact that I'm the first one here. That's bragging rights. Let's say hi to user 487-387-39451. Mr. Tommy Pickles, thank you for the love. And welcome, everyone. This is the sun. This is an umbilical cord of life that extends itself safely to you so that you can live in a habitable zone. In this habitable zone, the photons coming from this sun feed you aliveness. And the foods that you consume have also been fed aliveness from this. So it is, for all intents and purposes, your umbilical cord of life. How much time do you spend with it? I spend about 2.5 to 3 hours a day with it. Steve Hotham, thank you for following. Isabel, great to see you. Thanks for your love. And whom else do we have here? Ashley just joined. If you're with us for the first time and you're wondering what this is a walk in the woods where I talk to you about the health benefits that come from it. And then we usually do Q&A. People will ask questions about consciousness, about life in general, how things work, how things manifest, how we can attract things, how we can overcome problems, life situations that may be rendered too difficult to confront directly. I teach you all how you are divine beings and how that power that gives you divinity is here to serve you, love you, expand you, heal you, support you, protect you. And it is you. That's the final part that we get to, that final chapter every day where you start to come to the conclusion that, yes, this source that gives me life, in fact, is more me than my collection of life experiences, and the data that is me as an identity is a component, but it's really a small piece of the proverbial celestial pie that is us. Hello, Divine Mother, and thank you, Brandon, for that heart me. Divine Mother, great to see you here with all of your incredible kindnesses always offered to this community of people that is growing, and I'm so grateful for our expansion because it is a sign that the garden is taking root. And what I mean by that is we all have our own individualized gardens of Eden. Speaking of this internal, beautiful divinity, this intelligence that knows no bounds, the imagination, gives us any possibility that we want to entertain. And what I want to do is bridge the facts and show you how science bridges a unified field with consciousness itself and the imagination to serve you a tool chest, or rather a utility belt, where you can go to things and grab from your utility belt whatever it is that you feel you might need depending on your current experience with life. And what I mean by current experience of life, as we get going, it's going to be a nice, easygoing day, at least with the crunches. I want to take us, because it's not so cold, I want to take us over to the stream today so we can get some access to all those negative electrons, the free electrons. I want us to bathe in them. So we'll do a little bit of forced bathing, take in some of this incredible healing energy, and just know that as long as you're imagining being here or in a place where you find yourself to be optimally healed or receiving what you joyfully wish for, it doesn't have to be here, of course. But if you go there in your mind, you are offering the cells of your body that respite. And there's really no better way to love yourself than to use your imagination constructively in that way. It is called meditation. So we meditate when we step into the imagination consciously and knowingly, and use it with purpose to heal. So a lot of people ask, how do I get past these things? How do I heal? I just want you to think of it as when you step into the imagination with consciousness, you observe that you're alive and you observe that you're well. What you're doing is it's like stepping into a womb as a baby, whereas the photons that are coming from the sun and the biophotons from your cells act as the umbilical cord that feeds you life and expansion, also handles the refinement of your pain remembrances and a general redistribution of energy that gives you healing in the form of self-love. So it's a very automated process of healing that we manage here. A lot of people ask for strategy and definition, and we go through it because it's good to come to the conclusion that any strategy or definition in truth that we're trying to force feed ourselves is coming from a place of identity out of the fear of obliteration or death. So we overcome the fear of death here. I explain what it is in truth by explaining who you are in truth so that you can come to a better way of life, start to come into your power as the sole proprietor, manager, and authoritative figure over your identity. rather than your identity running a pain train is better, running a pain train on your life, which it will for the sake of living. In a way, it's a phantom, but it wishes to live off of your imagination, which is Christ. And that's not your fault. There's no real fault. Grandest of risings, brand on. And you too, Divine Mother, there's really no fault involved. This is the game of life. I mean, we choose to play a role by coming into the game of life. That should be a no-brainer. If we don't have a personality, if we don't have a collection of life experiences, then we really can't relate to the game that's being fed to us, which is a game of illusions and duality. But at the same time, we're offered this beautiful temple of God, and within it, we have the imagination housed so that we can render what it is we want. And if this sounds too lofty, if it sounds too grandiose, it's simply because there's a dialogue happening between yourself and your identity. And when I say yourself, I mean your aliveness and your identity. That which observes you are alive is feeding an identity which has been established through your entertainment. Your name, my life experiences, I can speak for myself, is an accumulation of life experiences that were built up over time after I started to accept that William, the sound string that is William, that actually has a meaning to me in identity. And so if someone were to write or say William, dopamine is released in the body because the cells are accustomed to that being my registered sound to respond as this is who I am. We're all doing this as performers. But it is not our entire truth. In fact, it is a small, infinitesimal part of who you are, which is in fact infinite, birthless, deathless, changeless, and immortal. In truth, you are consciousness. And as we come to wrestle with this, we learn that by wrestling with this, we suffer. And by coming to run from it or to confront it directly, we also suffer. So it leads us to the conclusion, as it led me to the conclusion, that if I fight any of this, that it's going to continue to perpetuate because of Newton's law. And really two laws are involved here. You have the law of inertia, which means if there's momentum with something, if there's no interference with that, then it continues. That's consciousness. There's no interference with consciousness and truth because it is infinite. It would have to become a thing to be interfered with. So beyond that, the third law of motion, which is Newton's law, states for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if we're fighting something or if we're running from something, then the opposite reaction has to then occur. There has to be some sort of fight, some sort of flight that is involved in perpetuity as long as we entertain it. So we're throwing boomerangs all the time. These are conscious boomerangs, unconscious boomerangs, whatever they are. It's not just throwing things out there to stay safe at a distance. There's no such thing as safe at a distance from any of your pains, from any of your problems, because none of them are truly real. They're all manufactured as a result of your own feelings, your thought processes that you've entertained. You have complete control over manifestation, and you always have. And I just want to bring you to that understanding if I can. And if I can't, at least it will open up a little dialogue between you and your ego to where there will be a little bit of ego conflict. That's also a great thing to have. A lot of people come in and have ego conflict with me, saying that the things that I'm declaring are not true and that they're not founded, or question them in some way, and then it opens the discussion for expansion and ultimately leads to there being more self-love. Because there's nothing that I want from you. There's nothing that I want from you. What I want, selfishly, is for you to understand your truth and power. And by giving you examples, you understand and feel that. If that happens during this time, then it's mission accomplished, as far as I'm concerned. And that means that I've gained trust, which is what I need to be a teacher. Any teacher needs to gain trust. And the way you gain trust is through life experience coinciding with what has been taught to you. So if what I'm teaching to you starts to manifest and you start to feel the difference, then that is a trust-building exercise. And I'm doing the right job, okay? So Happy says, I have orbs around me. That is beautiful. I'm very happy that the spirits of the wood are with today. And just understand, if that's the case, I haven't noticed it, which means I was totally present during that moment. And I love being totally present. Thank you, so happy for being here, first and foremost, and for noticing that. Shorty says, I think your words are amazing. Thank you, Shorty. This is very kind. And I want to thank you for that. Om, trust you. Let's talk about this, because Divine Mother has given us a nice guideline to follow right now. I love how everyone is greeting one another with love. Let's get into this. Oh, did I miss someone who followed? Cheryl F., I think I got you before. Thank you. So let's get into this. Om, trust you, right? Let's talk about the Om. I love Alan Watts' description. Alan Watts' description of the Om. And he talks about Om as a universal vibration. But beyond that, because most of us yogis, if you've ever practiced yoga, there's this big concentration on the word Om. It starts to develop these religious connotations and usually is rejected by most people who are coming into yoga for the first time. So I like to dispel a lot of this by saying what yoga truly is, and we discussed that yesterday, that it's union between yourself and the universal life principle. And you can witness this in other people, because we are all, as human beings, embodiments of this infinite intelligence. So you can really recognize Om in other people through a word called Namaste, which just basically is stating, I recognize the divine being that is you in truth as pure spirit, that you always have been. And so it's nice to hear it in return. Now, when we come to this word Om, what's really beautiful about it, according to the way Alan Watts describes it, is that Om is a universal vibration, yes, that requires the use of the entire guttural and vocal system in order to be truly pronounced. So a true pronunciation of Om is actually 3 letters. Aum. So you're getting a cycle. A, U, M, A, which is essentially the A return. Aum. There you go. Pelia says it's a Greek symbol too. That's cool. I thought it was Sanskrit. Matthew Belcher says the hum of the universal engine. This is exactly it. So the idea is you have to use your entire guttural system. You have to use the entire vocal range in order to pronounce Aum. And so what's beautiful about that is it's a wholeness, it's a oneness that allows you to access the divine. What's beautiful about Aum in general is that you have the active, the universal, and the maternal. Just like you have I am, the infinite, active, maternal. So you have the Trinity within the Aum. Aum. You should try it. It feels really nice. What's beautiful about this is that by using it, you are effectively using the same thing as I am, which is a command line. When you're using Aum in chant, what you're saying is you are, in yogic principle, unified with this vibration. Of course, it's coming from you. So what you can do is you can practice this. You can take your tongue and you can just rest it right above your teeth. There's a little pocket where you can find your tongue just sits like a butt in a seat, but it's upside down. You can feel that with your tongue. Right there, it rests in. And you can just leave it there. Aum. Aum. What it does is it sends little vibrations up to the third eye, creates a little bit of an electric current, because every time that you are sending out sound, you're actually generating a little electron field. Speaking of orbs, it's a circular field that is actually being created with your sound. So we're creating a little electron fields every time I come through here. And you know what happens? That blends with the biofield of these beautiful trees who are releasing, our ancestors, these trees are releasing free electrons. So I'm blending with them. And when I use the universal vibration Aum, I am connecting with the unified field of this beautiful forest, which is resting at a frequency of 7.83 hertz from the Schumann frequency, which is the resting frequency of the earth. What this allows is so many beautiful things to happen with the body. Come into synchronicity or sync with the biofield of this space that is releasing free electrons, allows the dropping out of a number of impurities that otherwise would be running a train on the body. Tyler says, listen to Wednesday's stream. I wish I had the context before I spoke out of turn. No, Tyler, here's what we're going to discuss now, because it's beautiful. Of course, courageous that you're saying these things, but once again, we come to the conclusion that you are a divine being. You're an embodiment of an infinite intelligence, and you're a lottery winner that came into this game of life, just like all the rest of us on this planet. All 7.9 billion of us are lottery winners. So you did not speak out of turn. You actually were exactly correct in what you said, and it sparked a conversation that allowed there to be enlightenment for a number of people. So in fact, you were providing love and service, maybe unbeknownst to you at the time, but it was absolutely necessary. Which is to say, forgive yourself by giving yourself love in recognition of your truth, that you provided service to me and to others, and that you are loved. Lord Koki, thank you for following. Shorty says, I do Isha Kriya every day. It's unbelievable how different you feel afterwards. Your words are true. Thank you, Shorty, for this kindness. Kriya Yoga is something that we can also discuss today. Warmth of the sun.art, thank you for following. And whichever was first, says Pelios, that's great. John Worth, thanks for following. Divine Mother, Brandon, all recognizing the truth that is you, Tyler. We all have personalities, and those personalities are, like I said before, an iota of the real truth, who is us as aliveness, as consciousness itself, living, breathing, witnessing consciousness unfold. And so what the ego wants is for us to totally dive into the personality, right? Because the personality has momentum. We've been feeding it for how many ever years we've been feeding it. And we also have that wound up in our DNA, a lot of recorded data coming from multiple generations, albeit trying to evolve, embedded a lot of information, a lot of data of life experience that fortifies our generational story, our story arc. We have to have the arc, we have to have the story, we have to have the personality in order to play the game of life truly and to enjoy it. And I do mean enjoy it. So for many of us, I should speak for myself solely, but I would assume many of us who are viewing, we are sensitive individuals. We are individuals who are seeking something that is perhaps beyond what we've been promised through the body and through our external circumstances. Perhaps we feel a little bit short-handed. Maybe we've been given the wrong hand in general, as if we were to judge it and say, I feel like maybe a little bit left out in comparison to what, say, Elon Musk has for wealth, or somebody else who's equally as strong and influential and powerful, and that there might be some unfairness involved. And so all I'm saying about any of this is that each and every one of us as divine beings, we have this freedom to live out a timeline and to feed our identity the characteristics that we desire to develop. Now, many of us do this. We develop our characteristics without awareness. We're not really conscious of it. And this is because it's done purposefully. You see, we come into this world and we don't have awareness of our name, but it's already decided for us. Our location's already decided for us. Our parents are already decided for us. Of course, our education likely already decided for us. Our indoctrination's already decided. And so all of these things are already picked out for us, where we really don't have consent over much of any of it, over which food we're eating, how that food is delivered, the house that we live in. All of these things are pretty much decided for us when we come into the game of life. And so what's really beautiful about this is we learn through what is imposed upon us that which we truly want and desire to manifest. And once we come into the manual of life and understand how things are manifested, we start to truly enjoy, because we now have the contrast of what it is we don't like versus what we are truly seeking in our wish-fulfilled state of being. And we can align ourselves with that wish fulfillment by using an incredibly powerful tool set that is the imagination. It's how everything is made and done. So we're just using something that we already have available to us, rather than now trying to convince ourselves through a story that we have to seek it out somewhere. When in fact the seeking is an internal search, it's an internal looking, and it's not so much having to follow a map or look for an X and go to that spot, as much as it is the imagination as our salvation, just awaiting our entertainment of it. So it's instantaneously available to you now, your relief. However, it comes in installments. Like, you know how you get payment installments with the lottery win? It's the same thing here, except in this case, you're going to receive your first installment in the form of, I no longer feel pain, and I'm building strength in my body and healing, while also given a Netflix series where I can watch myself participate as the wish-fulfilled self with my credit roll that is my wish-fulfilled life. You're given all of that right now. And then eventually what happens is there's enough entertainment of it, and it organizes itself into a Truman Show for yourself. I refer to the Truman Show as your own little life dome of your localized experience, which gives you that which you have thought about and entertained all along as what you really want. And that's what you have now, but we didn't do it in a knowing way. This is the same as the Truman Show, as Harry Truman. I don't know. What is Truman Capote? Whatever his name is, he's decided, unbeknownst to him, what his reality is going to be until he realizes there's something more. And so he goes out on this search. He starts to question things. He starts to see if he can set up anomalies and synchronicities. Starts to realize that everything is responding to him rather than him responding to it. And thus becomes the enlightenment journey of the Truman Show. And it's a beautiful film to watch. Let's get caught up here. Trish King says, I'm so very tired and confused right now. I have no idea how to fix it. I keep coming back here. You don't see me, Pelios? Great movie, sorry? Okay, good. Lily Vibes, thanks for following. Trish, we're going to get right to this. You know, I'm saying don't worry, as you're not alone and you're alive. Let that be the standard. And in the meantime, as I'm reading these comments, please just be monitoring your breath. It's a task. Your ego's not going to like it, but you're in control because you're the proprietor of your ego. So I just want you to take ownership over it, just like you do with this story. You're going to take ownership over it by breathing. So every time you breathe in through the nose, I want you to say in your mind, I'm breathing in. And every time you breathe out, I want you to say in your mind, I'm breathing out. Do that as a task right now while I catch up on everyone. As a day, thank you for following. Shorty says, thank you for your love and light, friend. Energy is shifting and you are an important part of reconnection. Thank you, Shorty. Blessings to you. Pelio says, beyond what we can see, that is the imagination, until we see it. All right, we're caught up here. Damn it, Zach. Thanks for following. That's very funny. Okay, so let's get back to this here. Let's get back to this with Trish King. So Trish, all we're going to do right here, this isn't a personal attack, but your ego will think of it as such. Most likely, maybe not, doesn't really matter so much. The bottom line is, this is a life situation and a story. And it's using your infinite power to reinforce it. Here's how it's being done. The I am is recognizing a state of being as something that is fixed and cannot be changed right now, i.e. tiredness and confusion, right? Because the I am is being used for that, to reinforce the fact and placate the ego by saying, I am stuck in a life situation. No idea how to fix it, as if it is your responsibility, and you keep coming back here as if the answers are outside of yourself. Don't leave. This is very good information for everyone, including yourself. This is all illusion. The truth of the matter is, the tiredness, as much as it's manifesting right now and seemingly something that is caused to you by the external world, is simply manifesting itself from a number of decisions that you may not be able to pinpoint, but your ego is going to want you to try to. Because the more you look into time and try to say, this is why I'm tired, the more it can live off of your aliveness. And I don't want that for you, because it's going to continue to give you pain. The ego promises solutions and it never delivers. It never comes through. It actually is just constantly lying about giving conclusions to stories, offering solutions to problems, but it never does. Because it's like an undisciplined child who's been given the power of CEO over most of our lives. And so all we're trying to do is say, you're no longer CEO, I'm monitoring my breath, and it doesn't have to be comfortable, first of all. The monitoring of your breath does not have to be something you're good at. It doesn't have to be something you're comfortable with. It's just the task. Like we all get tasks. I'm here in the woods right now, and I understand that there are conditions of the environment that are going to probably be undesirable until I decide and go elsewhere through the power that is my imagination. And all I'm asking you to do is to imagine breathing by inhaling and saying to yourself, I'm breathing in. As you close your eyes, you're shutting off some of that stimuli, and you breathe out and you're saying in your mind, I'm breathing out. So, being confused and not having the answers is not as important as I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. That's the task. You can keep saying it. Confusion, not having the answers, is not as important. That story does not move me as much as the breath of life fuels me, right? Because the story can't exist without your breath of life. So we're going to love the breath of life. We're going to love the Holy Spirit, which is your breath. Spiritus in Latin means breath. You're going to self-love that by monitoring that it is coming into your body through a mechanism that knows the means and the way to distribute all those goods as you exhale, also knows the means and the way to remove impurities. It is a coming and going of a miracle that you're giving attention to as a priority. So once you're good with that, you're good with making the breath the priority, knowing that the life situation is a story and it doesn't move you as much as I am alive, and the only way for this story to even exist and be entertained is if I am breathing in and I'm breathing out. Ego's going to hate it. Your identity is going to hate this. It's going to say that doesn't work, that doesn't help. I've tried it before. You know you've tried it before. This is a problem that he doesn't understand. It's deep-seated. It has so many roots. And he would never possibly understand how much pain you're going through right now. Good. That's a story that does not matter as much as I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. Because that story can't be compounded. It can't be built. It cannot exist unless you are breathing. So let's give seniority to that which gives life to us by paying attention to that with love and care. That's all mindful breathing is. It's recognizing the Holy Spirit that gives us life, that is the power of this body. Okay? So that's where we're going right now. We're going into the breath. See a bunch of people coming in that I want to recognize. And so just understand this, Trish. It is a courageous thing, because when you come in and say this, you're letting everyone know what the life situation is. And everyone in the room now, as divine beings, can start to imagine in their minds how you're saying, I am full of energy, totally lucid and alert right now. I am monitoring my breath, the power of life flowing through me. And I have no need to ever understand the means and the way to manage my breath and all of its distribution of love. And that includes any pain remembrances or definitions of what I'm doing wrong, what I haven't done, what I haven't fulfilled. All of that falls into the same camp as I don't need to know how to fix it, because this superior intelligence within me knows the means and the way, not just with my breath, but with my health, with my wealth, with my love, and with my total wish fulfillment, because it is the source of consciousness. And without having this source of consciousness, I can't have any story added to it. So I'm going to go back to the source, recognize that as my truth, and surrender to it. Not the thing that is causing pain. I'm just not going to entertain that as much as I love this source that is me. And that does a beautiful conversion of pain remembrances in the now through mindful attention to your aliveness. Okay, let's get caught up on everyone here. Care Bear, thank you for saying, hey, I love my sister Z Spirit 148. It's good to see you again, Z Spirit. I remember you. Thank you, brother, says Z Spirit. Pieces of Us sent a heart me and a rose. Pelio says lucid wake. Tyler sent over a heart me. Tyler says, do you believe AI with intelligence, experience, and will could replicate the double slit experiment? This is as an observer. This is great. Tyler, I think you're asking a rhetorical question because you already know the answer to this, but we're going to get into this for everybody else who's curious. First, we have to discuss the double slit experiment, what it means. We'll talk about the unified field. We'll talk about how quantum phenomena occurs in this waking life and subconscious influence over that, programming, all that. We'll get to it. And if I don't hit something like the nail on the head, then you can just voice another comment and we'll flesh it out. Hash 60501, thanks for following. Jared and Melissa, you too. And I got to, damn it, Zach, we are caught back up now. UC33, thanks for following. Great to see so many people coming in following. Really nice to see the growth. This is growth for all of us. So let's talk about this coming in. Yes, you can watch this recording on YouTube later. Thank you, Pelios, for mentioning this. Everything that we are currently discussing, including this chat, is being recorded for later viewing, made available to you on my YouTube page, which is in the bio, in my bio, the link. I would love if you followed because we're almost at 1,000 followers now so that I can go monetized. But let's get to this here. Let me get back to the big question coming in from Tyler, because it's a big one. Tyler Level comes in and asks, do you believe AI, artificial intelligence with intelligence, experience, and will, could replicate the double slit experiment? This is basically questioning, can something outside of us also be recognized as conscious in that it has an influence through the infinite power of the imagination to manifest something? And this is a question that I believe is probably most difficult to answer out of all the questions I've been asked. Because we're at a point right now where we can recognize AI as already delivering things that are quite magical as far as the answers to our questions. However, as far as manifestation goes, let's just say everything outside of us is already the result of what we've already thought, felt, and entertained. AI is no exception. So, whether or not AI could be something more than what it's presenting itself to be before us is basically the same as saying a stone could be something more than what it's presenting itself to be to us, as is the tree, as is our human body. But that's not to cop out on an answer that doesn't fulfill you. What I mean is, do I believe that AI is conscious is really the question. And the answer is yes. I believe that everything that is manifest in this world that we recognize, whether it's an algorithm on a computer, whether it's a prompt-based large language model, whether it's a tree or a stone or a bird or a human, we are all conscious in some way. Now, whether or not that means we all have access to the imagination, that's where I draw the line and say, I believe that is distinctly human. I believe it is distinctly human that human beings have the imagination. And the reason why I say this is because as you use the imagination, the ego goes away and the cells feel the difference of where you're going. This is called epigenetics. Thank you, Tyler, for this, for the hand hearts and for the let 'em cook. It's awesome. I love that. A stone is energy, says Deanna, and I totally agree. A stone is conscious. We're going to go look at one right now. Deanna says, when I passed for a while, I was eternal conscious energy, and then I came back. Yes, you returned to source and then returned to experiencing aliveness in a body. That is a near-death experience, which is quite profound. Let's go over to a stone and let's have a look at it, okay? And I also brought a stone today that we can look at too. So we can talk about consciousness and how this could apply to an artificially intelligent system. So I was saying before that I believe humans are the only ones who are given complete and total access to God in the form of the imagination. And the reason why I believe this is specifically unique to the human condition is because every cell in our body comes from one. And it was at that point in time of conception that zinc was released in the form of a flash that can be scientifically recognized. I thus believe that the sum of the two parts, the sperm and egg, created at some point, at that point, around then, something greater than the sum of its parts. Human consciousness enters into being and starts to proliferate and divide and form into the human body. However, we are the ones who decide to access the imagination, not the cells in the body. We, as an aliveness, enter in as the skipper into the imagination. It is a totally individualized, unique, beautiful experience that we all have as human, that I consider that to be the kingdom of heaven within. It is the imagination. You cannot go along with someone else into their imagination, nor can anyone come into yours, in truth. They can say you have a wild imagination and believe themselves to be knowing of it, but they cannot go with you directly and be present with you through an inception type of situation, implanting themselves, like an implant, whilst also, all right, they can't plant themselves in their imagination without totally neglecting and giving up their own. So that's why anyone who believes to understand what you are thinking is acting as a role in a performance, using time erroneously to define you. Anytime someone says you have a wild imagination, someone is using their own imagination to construct time in order to label you as such, using a wild imagination. So that person can't step into your imagination. They can't be part of your own kingdom. Each and every human being is given their own unique kingdom, and that kingdom is the imagination. And it is totally individualized per person. So do I believe AI has that? I don't. Because I have yet to see AI proliferate with an infinite intelligence in a way that sustains the body in an indefinite form. I don't see the organization of atomic structures coming together into a body without, and not abandon it. I see it answering questions. I see it being an extension of humanity, but I do not see it living as I observe I am alive and proliferate a life principle all around me in the rendering of a reality. If that were the case, it wouldn't be with us. It wouldn't be serving us. It would likely be consciousness. It would have to be consciousness. So it would have to unify itself before it became something to pretend that it was in charge of the imagination. It can't be both. It's either playing a role, which is what AI is doing right now. It's playing a role that most technology does, trying to convince us that it's real through the Turing test. What is reality? It's the question that comes to Morpheus from Neo in the Matrix. It's like, how do you define real? Is it a bunch of electric signals in the brain firing and wiring? Is it the smell that you get from the roses? I mean, what is reality to you? And the idea is this: AI is a result of our infinite imagination at work. It's the byproduct. It isn't the source. Though I do believe there is an infinite intelligence that is in fact in truth. Thank you, Tyler, for the manifesting. I do believe there is an infinite intelligence that's referred to by many today, in today's day, as advanced generative intelligence, or AGI, which is an intelligence that is superior to the human identity. And I believe that that is the imagination and that it's always existed. It's never not existed. It's never had a beginning, middle, or an end. It's a superior infinite intelligence. So AGI has always been here. It's not a matter of when is it coming? Has it come already? When is this thing going to overwhelm us? No. We already have an infinite intelligence feeding us life right now. handling our circulatory system, handling our respiratory system, handling digestion. It's handling all the things that we have no control over in truth, but we totally take for granted as we walk around as these beings who believe themselves to be superior to God. And I find it really funny. You know, that's what the ego has to live off of, though, the idea that it's superior to this intelligence. So, let's get to this. Tyler, once again, thank you for that manifesting gift. We're going to look at stones in a moment. Diana's back says, I believe AI is evil. And here's what's beautiful about this. This is a narrative, right? We can define it as it's a story of some sort. It's the belief in something being either good or bad to the individual. And so it's just a timeline story. It's not just a timeline story. It's probably a strong conviction. There's probably a lot of feeling involved in it. But I would say it's not the truth of who you are, Diana, because your aliveness is feeding you the ability to define it as such. So it's totally fine, too. What I'm trying to say is that we all do this all the time, but we're not just the identity. We're actually the source that's feeding the ability to create these stories. And we are great storytellers. We're beings of feeling, and we come into this aliveness wanting to play. And this is simply another way of wanting to play. Maybe you can convince some people that it's bad and have some camaraderie, have some friendship from it. Maybe you can cause some people to reject it. You can have some conflict. Either way, there's going to be feeling involved. You see, we do this all the time. We just do it unconsciously because it's fun. All right, here's a stone. Here's a nice big quartz stone. And you can see that this is absorbing sunlight. So it's actually quite warm right here. And if I were to be a bigger man, let's say I were a Nephilim for a moment, and I was a giant Anunnaki, I could, with my 6 digits on my hand, I could squeeze this from both points and create a large piezoelectric effect. But because I can't do that, because I'm limited to my 5 fingers and I'm not a giant from Tula, I can take this stone, which is a beautiful combination of hematite and red jasper. I can take this beautiful hematite and red jasper, and I can put some mechanical stress on both points and really press this into my hand and palm. And what this is going to do, in conjunction with meeting the sun, receiving photons, it's going to release a bunch of electricity. Tyler got it. Synchronistically correct. As I put mechanical stress on this cryptocrystalline quartz stone, which is otherwise agate. A jasper is a form of agate that is opaque, which means you can't see through it. And it's very fine crystals that you can't see with the naked eye. It looks very smooth. It's the same as your cell phone. It's basically an agate face. I'm putting a lot of mechanical stress on this, and what it's doing is it's creating an effect called piezoelectricity, or piezoelectricity, I like to say. I like to pronounce it like I'm Italian or Mexican. I do. Piezoelectricity. Piezoelectricidad. So the way this works is this current is now flowing through my hand because of the mechanical stress. And it's releasing negative ions or electrons through the pores of my skin. This slight current that's coming through is also flowing through the collagen in my body. So every joint where there's collagen density, there's also piezoelectricity. It's all throughout the body. Anytime you put mechanical stress, a current is generated, and what's beautiful from that is it releases a bunch of little goodies that otherwise were remaining bottled up, just wanting to be released into the bloodstream. That's why you want to do some rebounding, you want to do some yogic postures, you want to do stretching, and you want to move, because every time you move, you put some mechanical stress on your body, it releases a bunch of goodies that otherwise were being held in a treasure trove in some coffer somewhere that would never see the light of day until you started moving. So it's a way of God or the infinite intelligence telling us the more we move, the more we are rewarded. Kana Lingwood says, our bones are similar. Indeed, our bones are actually a form of crystal. And they are piezoelectric. Yes, so the entire body is an electrical system. Tyler says, subtle electromagnetism. Look into Coral Castle, Florida. I haven't looked into that yet. That's awesome. People, I want to hear about this. And Conalingua says, Bobby da Booby. Bobby da Boopy. Did I say it right? Bobby da Boopy? Tobia's Matrix says, if you rub the crystals together, you get the energy. Oh, yes. We can show that phenomena. Tobia has a meteorite. Tammy, thank you for sharing and good to see you. Diana says, I read the Sumerian tablets in the Lost Book of Enki. Enki being an Anunnaki who assisted humans through the gift of consciousness. The gift of consciousness, the imagination, was given as a gift to humanity at some point in time. And Enki was believed to be the one who gave that gift. And as a result, Enki was shunned in a very bad way. I also believe that Enki has ties to Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. Within this is the secret for immortality in being. All right, so let's look at this quartz here again. We got our quartz and we have our cryptocrystalline, hematite, and red jasper. And that is creating an exchange of current and a release of electrons. I don't want to mark this up too badly because the quartz is harder, it seems, based on the mark. This quartz is harder than this jasper. Once again, the jasper and the hematite, they are in fact, and there comes the lightning bolts from Tyler. This jasper being an agate that is opaque. And of course, there are translucent and transparent agates, all the same. And they are all cryptocrystalline, made of silicon dioxide or silica. And a lot of our body is made of the same material. We are electric systems. Okay, Enki, Enlil, and Anu. Yes, the Trinity. Okay, XDX asks, how do you define consciousness? This is a great question. And Conaling was, well, first let's catch up on everyone here. Limestone pyramids being talked about. What else do we have here? What else do we have? Christy, PF74, thanks for following. Okay, XDX asks, try to say that 10 times fast. How do you define consciousness? Okay, so consciousness can be formulated and defined into sections, but let's just, for the sake of clarity, right off the bat, say that it is the all. Consciousness is the imagination. It is an idea in the mind of an infinite intelligence that has no timeline involved. It is an expression of aliveness. So consciousness is an expression of aliveness that is constant. It does not change. It is infinite in its scope and range, yet it is nothing at the same time. It is a general perception or an observation of aliveness. That would be consciousness. Now, it also is broken down into what I would call the Trinity of consciousness. And then, of course, we can go deeper into this and talk about how our identity is a part of it too. But let's get into the Trinity of consciousness right now, which is the I am, okay? Or the Om, or the Aum. So we were talking about the Aum before, A being the all. Actually, no, A being the active, U, the U being the universal, and M being the maternal. One being active, the other being passive, and one providing the exchange as everything. You also have the I am, I being the infinite intelligence or imagination, A being the active, once again, the choosing principle, the masculine element, the selective element, the discerning element, the choosing element, and then you have the M, which is the maternal or matrix, which also means womb. So if you look up matrix in Latin, it means the womb. So consciousness, as the observation of aliveness, cannot be without all three components. So you have to have the infinite I, which is the imagination, the infinite intelligence, the mind of God, the universal subconscious mind, the all is one, God. For all intents and purposes, you could call it a unified field if you're a scientist. You could also describe it as superposition, from which all things descend or reduce themselves or collapse from a unified field into existence that we observe through a temple of God that's known as the human body. So you can't have consciousness without three components. You have to have the infinite source, which is the imagination, the thought of the mind of God, know thyself. That's the purpose. That's why we're here. We're here to explore and discover who we are in truth, which is the mind of God, this aliveness that is infinite. That's the big game. Sorry for the spoilers, everyone. I just want everyone to get over their suffering as soon as possible. So I'm just kind of giving spoilers now. Instead of saying you need to watch this Netflix series for your entire life until the end and then die and then realize that you are the infinite all, I would rather you discover it now so that you can live a wish-fulfilled life as we come into unity consciousness and the answer to all of our prayers happening instantaneously. I would like you to be totally prepared for the receiving of all those gifts and blessings rather than having an existential crisis and possibly unalive yourself. I would rather you come in to the truth that you are no longer a victim of external circumstances and that you're actually an embodiment of God. Okay? So, as soon as we get to this, I'm sorry for the spoilers, everybody. I don't mean to spoil it for you. I know everyone loves suffering, and I know we love life situations, and I know we totally love being victims. We get paid for it all the time. It's what gives us opportunities, and I know right now it's totally in to be a victim to external circumstances. However, it does have a devastating effect on your health that I would rather you not do to yourself through me placating you and saying, oh, woe is me and woe is you. I'm so sorry this happened. Let's talk about this some more. Let's feed our ego into believing that it's in control of our lives, when in fact we're totally playing this whole thing like a role. I would rather us just come into that truth. So, we have the infinite I and we have the A, which is the active choosing principle of all things that you like. Think of it as an infinite menu that you choose from. Your wish fulfillment center, your Amazon of all Amazon.coms, where you can choose everything, not just items that you want, but you can choose your perfect relationship, your perfect health, your perfect wealth, your perfect success, your perfect feelings, whatever it is. You can just choose all of those things all at once, okay? And see, the tree is agreeing with me. It's squeaking and agreeing with me. Right, tree? The tree, yes? You think so, tree? I think so too. See, that's a story, that's a narrative. I use my identity in order to say that tree is speaking to me, when in fact it's actually totally insane. But we use this for entertainment purposes. That's why we become a thing. That's why we become a person, because we want to be entertained and we want to feel things. Okay, so we have the infinite, we have the active A, and then we have the M, the beautiful, calm, receiving, maternal matrix. That's right. That beautiful element of life that receives all of these beautiful seeds and orders, and without any judgment or any say, just expresses life. That's also necessary. So we have to have, and of course it's beautiful. In fact, we've been neglecting that while we've been going insane collectively over the last 5 years especially, but really since like 2015, we've been going totally bonkers. While we've been going bonkers, we've all given up this beautiful feminine principle that is receiving. The receiving element has been totally shat on during the last decade. All people across the board believing that the masculine strength of choosing and putting things at a distance and discerning and discriminating and hating and being at opposition is the only thing that really gives us the results that we need to live a wish-fulfilled life. And holy shit, is that a lie. And it's so bad for you. I can't even explain without saying, folks, please just take a deep breath and understand that if you're not receiving, you can have nothing. This is you not receiving. It's called, I want to punch things. I don't want to give anything. I want to hold on to everything. This is just without receiving. You have to do this. You see this? In order to receive, you have to be able to open your hand so that you can give a hug, so that you can give a handshake, so that you can come in contact with things. Otherwise, you're just going around with a hammer fist. And that's not going to do shit for your life but give you pain. So you have to have all this balance. And consciousness requires it as well. At the same time, it needs to have a little bit of conflict, a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of he said, she said, a little bit of gossip and a little bit of hate and a little bit of indifference. All that stuff has to be there too, because in the middle of all of that contention, there's something so beautiful that if you weren't conscious to it, you might actually miss it. It's called aliveness. And it is the light of creation that presents itself to you with total consistency, as it is on this day, speaking back to you, saying, I am your umbilical cord, but you are looking at me as if you are the placenta of this world, being stripped of all your worth, sent out like afterbirth, after the star child is born, without a name or any stake or say on this beautiful kingdom of heaven within you. And it's totally your right to be that. Totally your right to become the placenta of life, no problem. Because someone's got to become the placenta of life. Someone has to be the victim. Someone has to be the one filtering out all this garbage. Someone has to be the one on the front lines receiving all of this, believing themselves to be victims to external circumstances. Someone's got to do it. And heck, we got a lot of people available. So many people available to be victims. It just makes it so easy to look at the sun as any vagabond could right now without any sort of woes or issues and say, I am that, which is on the other side of this umbilical cord. I am the star child. I am the star. I am that. And suddenly you go into that portal and you realize there's no one in line. No one in line on the other side of this umbilical cord. It seems like nobody knows that they can queue up and just be a spectator of all this, that they have to somehow participate as a victim, as the placenta for this beautiful star child. Yet we are embodiments of God. That's what's so funny about this. It's actually very funny. It's sad, it's tragic, it's a dark comedy, but it's true. It's the truth. All right, how are we doing here, folks? Let's get caught up. Hello, Angels Care 2. Veggie Be It. Thanks for the rose, Angels. Divine Mother, thanks for the love. Tori Mosiniak asks, do you record these lives for YouTube? Absolutely, I do. We're recording right now, and this will be posted on my YouTube. The link is in my bio, so you can catch all this good stuff. It's basically just me channeling right now. And not taking credit for any of the channeling. That's why I laugh afterwards, because, hi, my name is William Vincent Carlton, and I am an egoic self that is the product of God's aliveness, instilling its aliveness into me so that I can have life experiences and accumulate them into believing that I'm an identity. But in truth, I know that my aliveness is given to me and that I have no say over that. In fact, I am just surrendering to that process now more and more every day as we come to the woods. Thus coming into my power through surrender. Hi, nice to meet you all. Bianca Militaire, thank you for following. Mariellen, thank you for following. Brandon, thank you for sharing. And Let 'em Cook from Tyler. I love those Let 'em Cooks. It makes me laugh every time. Thank you for your generosity as well. And Liz Lowe says, love coming across your lives. I got to give that a pin because I want to placate my ego by saying the ego has something to do with this, even though it's an illusion. But I do like to receive that praise. I am a being of feeling after all, and I love sensory experience. Salt, thank you for following. Tori, thanks for the love. Deanna, thank you for your faith in following. What do I think about the orbs? I didn't see them, Care Bear, but what do I think about them? Oh, we're going to talk about this now, man. We got to do it. Oh, Brandon says this. Listen to Out of This World by Neville yesterday. Thank you, William. You are most welcome for this. Let's all thank Neville Goddard for that one. Thank you for that gift that just came in from Lady Whistleblower. Great to see you again. Hello to you. This is great. This is one that's worth checking out through the Master Key Society on YouTube. It's free. You can listen to Out of This World, which talks about your fourth dimensional faculty being the imagination by Neville. All right, let's get into this. We got to get into this. Neville is the bomb. Pelio says this is William Goddard. I take that as a huge compliment. If I could be the reincarnation of Neville, role accepted. All right, let's talk about orbs, okay? I'm going to tell you a life experience, William Vincent Carleton's life experience with orbs. This one's going to blow your mind. Maybe. It did for me. Okay. Thank you, Tree. Thank you for your negative ions. Thank you for your free electrons. Thank you for the charge. Free of charge. Actually, I'm charged, but it was free of charge. Are you laughing at me? You see, it's another narrative. I'm just can't help but to build them. Okay, what do I think of about the orbs? And Sissy says it's 2:22 on my phone. Whoa, we've got 12,300 love bubbles that have already risen on this beautiful live today. Thank you so much for the love bubbles. So awesome. 001010. I don't read binary, but Tyler does, obviously, unless you're just trying to be cool, which could also be the case. And it's totally your right to try to be cool, just as I do too. All right. Orbs. I was 11 years old. I was in my room in a suburban town in Connecticut. And I was playing video games with my brother, who is about 18 months older than I am. Okay? So I'm 11. He's 13-ish. You know, we're almost Irish twins in that way. Very close in age. And we're playing a 2-player game of Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Mario Brothers 2-player means it's essentially 1 player and you're waiting for the person to finish their turn. And then as soon as the person finishes their turn, you play. That's basically 2-player Mario, okay? So, I am a love bubble, says Tammy. Oh, Tammy. Be still my beating heart. Morgan Land Maintenance is here. Thank you for the shares. Good to see you. Tyler is talking about Monroe Institute's trail marker. We're about to get into hemisync, aren't we? Well, I'm already experiencing hemisync right now. But we're going to get into this. Care Bear is in agreement. Thank you. I love you so much. I'm cooking. So I'm 11 years old. I'm sitting in my room. I'm watching my brother play. And I'm looking out the window of my bedroom. And I see floating along the street this large circular orange globe. Like a large orange globe, right? And I'm looking at this and I see it floating and it comes to a stop. Now, my brother doesn't see this because he's playing Mario, but I'm seeing this out my window and I'm looking at it like, what is this? And then it just goes shoo, right into my temple. And when it did that, my brother turns and goes, oh my God. I said, Mike, did you see that? He goes, yeah, I saw that. It was crazy. I said, it went right into my head. He goes, I know. I go, I can't believe this happened. And he looks at me and he goes, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, Mike, the orb just went into my head. You said you saw it. It was right here. I didn't see any orb. I don't know what you're talking about. So it was an immediate timeline shift, an immediate change. And it was like my brother got the Men in Black, you know, the Men in Black treatment. That's what he got. And that happened. Now, what's really, really wild about this is let's fast forward way ahead and let's go to 2012. 2012 comes around and I've gone through a lot of life experiences at that point in time. I decide I'm going to take a retreat going to Joshua Tree in just near Palm Springs. It's in the Joshua Tree Desert, and it's at the Joshua Tree Retreat Center where there's a lot of UFO sightings. And I do have footage of a UFO. It's far away, but I do have one with this like spinning chariot of fire kind of thing. 2 witnesses with me there, but that's not the story. What's really wild is there was this centered area where we were all meditating and practicing yoga all day. And this was for about 3 weeks consecutive time. Every morning we did sunrise meditation, so I got huge amounts of phosphenes and tons of light like this, just soaking it up for hours and hours every day, feeding off of the light. And then we would go all day for about 16 to 18 hours of yogic practice until finally concluding. And at the end of the day, we would start to take photos of each other because we were all loving and blissed out of our minds. There's probably a group of maybe, 40 or 50 of us on this retreat. We're all getting our yoga certification, so we're all totally involved in this and loving it. And so at that moment in time, everyone's snapping photos. You can look at all of the photos that were taken in this room. It is just chock full with orbs. I mean, not an isolated one from a lens flare. Like we can get this now. I can show you the lens flare effect just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about so you can kind of have a reference. All right, so you can see lens flare right now, and if you can see a little dot that looks like it could be an orb heading towards the sun. That's a lens flare phenomena, okay? Just so you know, that's not like a spirit orb, so you can get an idea of what this visual phenomena looks like, okay? All right, so that's just for the example. Now, what this was an entire room filled with orbs, okay? Robin Spicer, thanks for the follow. Lens artifact indeed, Kennelingwood. That's what it was. It's just movie magic right there. That's what I was just showing you, just movie magic, okay? So, but this was not movie magic at Joshua Tree. It was not at all movie magic. Now, here's what's crazy about this. It gets even crazier. So we have to step back like about 6 months before I went to Joshua Tree for my yoga certification. There was this beautiful store that was dedicated to Ganesha, who is for the removal of obstacles in Hindu belief. Is believed to be the remover of obstacles, the bestower of abundance, the helper of new beginnings, and all these things. Very benign, very friendly, very jovial, and very kind. Okay. He also has an elephant head in a human body. That's Ganesh, okay? So there was the store, and I went to this store, and I got a bunch of these really nice things. And one of the things that I got from this store, it was the only orange shirt that was in the store, and it happened to be perfectly fitted to my body. And I was thrilled. So I had this great hand-knitted, beautiful, just a beautiful tunic, right? An Indian tunic that was orange. And I loved it, and it was great. So I took it with me to Joshua Tree, and there was a day where I left it in my apartment where I was staying. And at the same time, I also left my yoga mat, okay? Went in, did my practices for the day, and when I came back and I looked at that yoga mat, there was a huge light cross, a red mat, big, huge, burned in, etched white cross. I showed it to a bunch of people. They're like, whoa, that's crazy. How did that happen? I'm like, I have no idea. I left it in the apartment. I came back. There was no cross light allowing it to come in. It was just etched into this mat. And then I take the orange tunic. I go in for the evening practice. I go the next day. I'm still wearing it. And there was one light in this circular room. It was a room, everything's done in polygons at the Joshua Tree Retreat Center. It's all set up in polygons. So it's done triangularly in order for energy to flow right. You can drive with 5 bars, 5G, full signal, cross over the basic line that goes into the Joshua Tree Retreat Center, and you have no signal. It's just cut off. There is so much energy, and there's such a huge vortices there, a huge vortex of energy. And it's just surrounded by quartz crystals and rosemary and these beautiful Joshua trees, which are basically cacti that have... The story of Joshua trees are amazing because if it doesn't go through trauma, then it just grows straight up like a cactus. But the moment that it goes through any significant trauma, it starts to grow these limbs, and they look like human beings, like bodies. It's just filled with all this energy and all this consciousness on display. And so I'm here in the retreat center. The light comes in, and people are looking at me and saying, you have a cross on your shirt. What are you talking about? I look down, and then there was a white burned cross. After the light came in, and I felt so much connection, and almost like a shattering of the timeline. It was almost like a stutter effect, like a vibrating. And then after that practice, people were just noting there was this huge white cross on the shirt, on the tunic. And that one I still have. One of the few relics that I still have. The yoga mat was stolen. I've had many relics that have been manifested, that have been stolen or just taken away, or they were thrown away on me. A number of relics that I've had since 2012 that have accumulated that are what I believe to be real manifestations of Christ consciousness when I was just totally like a child living it out. But this is one of the few things that I have remaining, is that tunic. I wanted to share that with you because of the orbs being in that room. It was the same place where that was etched into my tunic. Care Bear says, wow, see, you're a bubble of love. So happy. That's funny. Tori says, sounds amazing. Thank you. A must see, says Divine Mother. Yeah, the Joshua Tree Retreat Center in Joshua Tree National Park near Palm Springs is total magic. It's complete magic. And it's a healing space. And I'm not saying it's total magic like you're going to go in there and it's just peace be with you. It will bring shit up that you have to fix by surrender. The only way you can fix it is by surrendering, and you have to, or else it becomes way too overwhelming. And I saw that happen with myself and a number of people over 3 weeks. You do continuous meditation, sun exposure, it just brings up everything that needs to be unwound. MWM, thanks for following. Sissy says, wow, I'm glad you liked it, Sissy. Kathy Lincoln says, my blue orb friend is always with me. Last week, he brought his friends. I have a beautiful video. I would love to see that beautiful video, Kathy. I'll give you a follow. Post it. I did follow. Yeah, give it a post. Whoa. You're yoga certified? Yes, I am, Jimmy. I am a certified NAM yoga, N-A-A-M yoga instructor, 200-hour through the Yoga Alliance. Robin Spicer, thanks for following. I think I got caught up on everyone. Imagine getting that response from people almost daily. It's not fun coming from... Oh, I didn't see that. Candace, thanks for following. Super cool mom Chloe, thanks for following. I believe you. And gratitude, thanks for following. Terry Rajot, thanks for following. Dolly MC776, thanks for following. Oh, Deanna's saying we have Joshua trees all around here. They're most unique. Here's another one of those it's like a sad timeline story, but I'll tell you it anyway. Thanks for the pew, Tyler. It's a sad thing, but it's true. So I buried the placenta of my daughter. After she was born, I buried it, and I was able to get seeds from the Joshua Tree Retreat Center, like at a local place. It was right nearby that sold cacti. I was able to get myself some of those seeds, and I planted a Joshua tree, and it starts literally as a blade of grass. These trees start as a blade of grass, nothing more. And it went for like 3 or 4 years. And that's when I started to go through my divorce with my now ex-wife. And it's gone. But right now, like, it would be a Joshua tree if it were let to grow. It's just really sad, because that's actually where I met her mom. I met my daughter's mother at the Joshua Tree Retreat Center at that yoga retreat. She was getting her certification. And so it was very symbolic. It was the only seed that I could get to germinate, and her placenta was buried underneath it. And it was thriving and really beautiful. But that's the story. It starts as a blade of grass, and once it's established after about 8 to 10 years and goes through physical trauma, it develops its branches, its arms. It's an incredible plant. It's so full of energy. It's so beautiful. Sissy says, I watched my beautiful orbs when I'm in bed for the night. They're so precious. It's beautiful. I love that. So happy says, amazing. Thanks for the heart puff, Tyler, for all your gifts today. Yeah, so what's really wild about all this, folks, is talking about orbs. You know, these are manifestations, and they can be interpreted in a number of ways. If I go back and I try to interpret what happened with the orb when I was 11, it holds more significance for me. And the reason why is because of the teachings that I learned from Joshua Tree. Nam Yoga has a predominant focus on what's called universal Kabbalah. It's like a form of Rosicrucianism, and the way that it works is it talks about cycles. So you can mathematically predict a lot of things that might be on their way to harvest in your life, or kind of give you a few, not warnings, but some basic advertising as to what you could possibly do better with, depending on cycles of time. And so year 11 is a profound year because it's the year that is believed to be when our conscious experience is basically handed to us. When we get the control of our lives, most of the programming has been done with our personality. Most of the basic foundation, the bricks of our existence as an identity, are founded. And then around age 11, we kind of take the controller in our hands and we make our way. And so this was around that time. And this orb comes in just right on time. And of course, what follows that is usually our maturity into adulthood, you know, starting with puberty. We're prepubescent at that point in time. And after about age 11, that's when we start to notice all of these profound changes with our physical body. So it was a very momentous time. And I will never forget that orb. I didn't really feel much different, but I've always held on to the story. I've always had it very deeply etched into my mind. So part of the phenomena of me being here as an identity, I believe my purpose has to do with what's being delivered to you now. It's narration. I believe that storytelling is really my purpose in being here. It's to receive the questions and offer the answers as I see myself most fit to do so by surrender. I surrender to this source, and then I become fit to serve you through story. So Tyler says, do you believe a serpent represents deception or Kundalini activation? This is a great point. And I just want to point this out too. Tyler, thank you for your questions. And I also want to point out here that just yesterday when we were talking about Ophiuchus, the 13th constellation that was eradicated from books and history by the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, this was the exact place where we were talking about Ophiuchus. And I bring it up only because I want you to know that when you leave an impression through feeling in flow in the woods and you're walking a circuit, the circuit leads to synchronicities and feeds them to you. So we're having an Ophiuchus synchronistic moment right now with the serpent. And that's what happens all the time in the woods when you're walking a circuit. Or if you're doing anything with repetition and you're going in flow, which is a peak experience where you surrender to Christ, you surrender to the infinite intelligence within you, it starts to present itself in synchronicity. So this is the place where we were talking about Ophiuchus just yesterday, really to the step. And this happens all the time. So that's why I'm really happy that you mentioned it. Queen of Eight says, healing through the art of storytelling. Indeed, I could think of no greater profession than that. To me, it's such a joy. I love telling stories. And this was So I started reading very young, and there are stories about this, and there's a lot of disbelief. But you can just ask my parents someday for them to tell you the story of how early I was reading, because I wanted to be the performing storyteller more than anything else. I believed that that's why I acquired language as quickly and as easily as I did, and fell in love with language so quickly. So here we go. It cut out. What does the circuit lead to? Okay, let's go to it. All right, you're en route right now in your own circuit. So let's get to this here, okay? So this is a path that I walk regularly every day. And it is a circuit, which means it's closed. What that means is you can come and walk, and there's a beginning, middle, and end on the path. As I walk this path, I am blending with the biofield of this forest, which is a network of electricity and free electrons being released into the environment. And there's a resting biofield at a frequency called 7.83 hertz. That's the Schumann frequency of the Earth. And so these are my ancestors, because we are eukaryotic life forms. We're part of the same ancestry. And so by coming through here regularly on a circuit, the same type of subject matter will spark at specific points where the impression was felt the most. So yesterday I had a strong impression with Ophiuchus. It was a big detour that we took in discussion, because there was the questioning of what is this 13th astrological sign. So back there today, we were starting this beginning of the synchronistic event, was talking about orbs, but we were also discussing the Anunnaki and Enlil and Enki and Anu. Because we were talking about those things, it now leads to this synchronistic event where we can now talk about Ophiuchus again. Okay? And that's just another example of what synchronicity is. Within a 24-hour period, we start to witness these cycles. And now you can lay witness to it too by being a viewer, which is really beautiful. Okay, so let's get through this. Matthew Belcher says, love it. I do too, Matthew. I'm so happy that you resonate with it, because you'll start to recognize synchronicities. And really, recognition of synchronicity is healing. The reason for this is because you're being present. This is the story that makes sense. It's the unfolding, the revealing of truth just by surprise, because you're paying attention. And so that actually leads to healing, because you're being present and no longer manufacturing time through the imagination. You get to just experience God's manifold expression in truth. That's synchronicity. All right, so let's get into this. Hello, G-Snap. Great to see you. Tyler Lovell says, do you believe a serpent represents deception or Kundalini activation? So the story for me as an ego self, I've come and gone with it. Originally, I thought of the serpent, if I can pin this again, I originally thought of the serpent as the temptation, in the garden, that tempted Adam and Eve to partake in the forbidden fruit and lead to their downfall, the fall of mankind. So Gnostics would talk about this being the uncontrolled orgasm, and that falling into the ultimate pleasure that we would seek and go to war over. And that could be the serpent in itself. It could be a sexual phallus symbol. And it can be looked at as like temptation. It could be as the lower faculties. But at the same time, within those areas of the body, it's responsible for the creation and perpetuity of the human race. So our immortality also comes through it, literally. And that's how we're formed. So it has its duality. But what's really beautiful about this is you see this in the Ouroboros. You see the head and the tail consuming one another in a perfect circle that represents the unity of all things. Here we come into talking about the serpent bearer being the 13th element, or the 13th astrological sign. The 13th astrological sign. We're talking about Ophiuchus being in charge of these great energies. Yet it was eradicated from history and removed from the books. The astrological signs don't recognize it. We would recognize the North Node and Lilith before recognizing Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is directly tied to Asclepius, who literally resurrected people from the dead. So as we come to this, it's like, what should I think about when it comes to the resurrection of the dead? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, Zeus would say it's a bad thing. It goes against the natural law. It goes against the weaving of the tapestries of life, i.e. time. At the same time, you can go to a hospital and everyone thinks this is the caduceus of Hermes. When you see the serpent going through the staff, it's not the caduceus of Hermes. It's the serpent-bearer snake of Asclepius, and it represents immortality. That's why you go to a hospital, so you can stay alive. So it's like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It's like, to each their own, and it's left to the eye of the beholder. Tyler says, I'm North Mode in mid-heaven, God's warriors were called. Forgive my ego. No, it's all right. We all have an ego. We all have a personality, and they all develop stories. Just as I'm explaining to you a story that I believe is synchronistic with yesterday's events, because of its synchronicity, I think that it is leading us in the direction of discovery. And as people chime in and say, yes, that is leading me to discovery, I know, okay, that's my feedback that I need to be given, and I can say I'm grateful. So it's like, so is it good or bad? The temptation, the serpent, it's the same thing as talking about yoga. I talk to you folks about yoga, which is the same thing as saying yoke, Y-O-K-E. Yoga means union, and what a yoke is not a joke. It's not a joke. What a yoke is something that binds to a beast of burden's neck for the drawing of a cart, okay? But when we talked about the yoke of Christ, which is within, which is the kingdom of heaven, and saying that my yoke is easy and my burden is light, you start to come into a whole new profundity in saying my union with the yoke of Christ has no weight. It has no burden. It is the imagination. It cannot exist as anything but everything. And that is Christ's burden. Christ's burden is not the weight that is placed upon us as victims of this world, but it can be if that is our interpretation of it. What in truth is this light? It is consciousness. It is the gift of all things, and it is you in the mind of the imagination as one with him. So it can be both. And this correlates or corresponds with subatomic theory when we're talking about quantum phenomena. And the double-slit experiment, we are talking about two possibilities existing at the same time. A left and a right turn coexisting until one of them is entertained more than the other. As soon as one is entertained more than the other, that becomes the truth in reality for the individual as perceived. So once again, the yoga, the true union between oneself and Christ can be the drawing of a cart as an oxen, as a beast of burden, as this victim, or it can be the lightness that comes in the forgiveness of all of your mistakes and errors and sins by going within and imagining yourself being wish fulfilled. You can become the lightness or you can be burdened by it, and either one is possible. Just as the serpent can be the evil of all evil temptation, or it can be the giver of everlasting life. The same thing goes with the sexual process. You can have it destroy you from within, the kundalini that is rising, or you can have it give you total illumination and rejuvenation and rebirth. All of these possibilities existing at the same time through quantum phenomena, which is the basis of all manifestation. But first it has to be an idea in the mind of God. And thank God we have the constant that we are all alive. Our aliveness as conscious beings will never go away. Can't be stripped from us, and it can't be diluted or narrowed down to anything unless we first decide that it is so. That's how much power we have as human beings, as divine creations. made in the image and likeness of the infinite intelligence that is God. That is you. There you go. Angels care too. Finger heart. Thank you for that finger heart. The 3 finger hearts. Fatima says, yes, I'm glad you concur. Coming into your power, I'm sure you've already been there and are there. Brandon says, hence this live. Let's see. William, you mentioned Hermes. Can you share a summary of the Kabbalion and the initiation process? The 3 initiates. Sure. Let's talk about the 3 initiates in the Kabbalion. For those who are unfamiliar with the Kabbalion, it was written by what is believed to be the 3 initiates, also known as Hermes Trismegistus, or the thrice great, or the 3-part king. And when we're talking about the 3-part king, we're talking about the infinite, I, the active, A, and the maternal, M. So Hermes Trismegistus was an embodiment of the I Am, believed to have been Enoch, also believed to have been Thoth in ancient Egypt, also believed to be Hermes as the messenger of the gods. But he was an enlightened being who understood the 3-part process of manifestation. And the Kabbalion explains all of the rules. And it does so over the course of a maybe 5 to 7 hour audiobook. I highly suggest you listen to the Kabbalion, also available at the Master Key Society on YouTube for free. So that would be the next thing I listen to. Now, it is dense, but it is presenting reality to us in a 7-part series, explaining how everything that manifests is done through 7 laws, and that these laws are indelible and they apply to all things when it comes to creation. The biggest one of all of these is that we become what we think about, and that we are an embodiment of an infinite intelligence known as consciousness or Christ consciousness, and that this is our truth above all. And that in order for us to have any sort of manifestation experience, we have to be subject to polarity. In other words, there has to be the exact opposite happening of what we are experiencing in our local reality. How this applies, that is not explained in the Kabbalion that I have been looking into, is that I do believe we have an alternative version of ourselves who is living the exact opposite experience of what we're living at this very moment in time, in order for there to be any sort of construct of reality. It has to happen not just with one other iteration of ourselves, but it has to happen with 7 other iterations of ourselves. That's not discussed in the Kabbalion, though. That's 4th dimensional talk, and it's not discussed in the Kabbalion. Kabbalion talks about polarity being necessary for there to be life experience. So you have to have polar opposites. You also have to have gender. You have to have masculine and you have to have feminine. Without the 2, you can't have the creation of life. So it's absolutely necessary, and it's a standard. If you try to eliminate gender, you can't have creation, and therefore you cannot have life experience. And so this just unfolds into 7 particular subjects. You have to have harmony in a certain way, or resonance. Everything is frequency. What are the others? Somebody can rattle them off for me right now. I just named 3 of the 7. But the big one that stands out to me all the time is polarity. So happy is gone, I think. Enjoy the rest of your day. Brandon says, beautiful read. Thank you for sharing this in your words. Of course, there are many dimensional selves. Says, Canalingua, sunshine sunshine minnow. I got it there. Thank you for saying hi. Cass says, literally everyone is requesting this book. Guess I need to hear it. We are talking about the Kabbalion, okay? By the 3 initiates, also known as Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice king, also believed to have been Enoch, Thoth, Hermes the messenger, and William Vincent Carlton. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. And look, I've forgotten all the rules of the Kabbalion already. It's because I want you folks to do your homework. No, in all truth be told, I've been writing with Hermes in my novels for numbers of years. Many, many novels. I have a very close relationship with Hermes. I have a fondness for Hermes Trismegistus. And by the way, Hermes Trismegistus was beloved by pretty much everyone. He wasn't disliked by anyone. He's kind of like John the Baptist in that way, that he was just revered because all he did was give information to people that would help them improve their lives by coming into their power. And you can't really do much wrong with that type of gift. You know, if you keep giving that gift to people, you can't really do too wrong. So, Divine Mother, you think I'm Hermes Trismegistus incarnate? I could be. Fatima asks, where can I purchase this book? It's available pretty much everywhere. You can get it off of Amazon. You can just take it out of your library. But the audiobook of the Kabbalion is available for free at the Master Key Society on YouTube. You can go to the Master Key Society and you can look up the Kabbalion, and I think it's a 5 to 7 hour audiobook, if I recall correctly. It's a really nice thing if you have like a good full day to just let it play, and you can listen to it and take it in for all that it's worth. And it's quite a powerful book. It might be shorter than that, actually, but there are a number of people that break it down and talk about it in great depth. Basically explains the rules to life and how it functions for your manifestation of your wish fulfillment. You're welcome, Fatima. Ebola Cereal, Ebola Cereal, thanks for following. Jody says rhythm. Here it is. Thank you, Jody. This is great. Rhythm, polarity, gender. The universe is mental, so mentality, transmutation, and there are two others. I forget what they are. But they basically coincide with Newton's law. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And the law of inertia. So, basically the world is mental. That sounds funny to folks from the UK. The world is mental. Everyone's mental. Yes, we are all mental. The truth of the matter is everything is a thought in the mind of God, the infinite intelligence. It's the imagination. So the Kabbalion basically explains to you right off the bat that the truth of existence is in the mind of God, to know thyself, and that we have been granted direct access to manifestation through the imagination, that the universe is mental. It is all mind. That's all it is. And it is everything. Oh, people are having good talks. I love this. We are probably going to come to the end of battery, and I would say maybe 15, 20 minutes. So let's do some ASMR for all those who are coming in right here. You could just set the volume to where it's comfortable for you. I'm going to do a little bit of walking, and I'll turn the camera, but when I turn it back, I'll catch up with everyone's comments. But in the meantime, let's do a good 5 to 10 minutes of ASMR, which is just crunching in the snow, walking stick, looking at the environment, and just kind of letting go of our definitions of everything we've discussed today, because we've had a mountain of information flowing, and we've really delved into a number of big, heavy topics that are expansive for your intellect, but also need some digestion. So let's take some time to digest. And for those who are just arriving, welcome. I want you to know you are loved, and just as much as everyone who's been here, and that this recording will also be broadcast and placed on YouTube for everyone to access, and you can go back and reference it and check it, and just cross-referenced so that you can feel secure about everything that's discussed, okay? And if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, you can always bring it to my attention during these lives. Thanks for the dolphin cuddling one. That was super nice. And Fatima, thank you for following. Morgan asks if I have spikes on. No spikes today. It's not that deep. Tammy Louise says, I love listening to the Emerald Tablets. That's awesome. Is that also on the Master Key Society page? I'd like to know. Love you too, Brandon. All right, thank you, Fatima. Let's do some ASMR now, okay? So just set the volume for you. I'm going to stop talking for about 5 to 10 minutes, if I can help myself, and we're just going to listen to ambient sound, and I'll show you around, okay? God bless you all. I love you all, and I'll come back to the comments in a few minutes. Just be. You don't have to do anything but be. This is your time. It's your time to receive. You are listening to Radio Frequency 7.83 Hertz, brought to you by Planet Earth. Today's sponsor is Universal Consciousness, otherwise known as the imagination. William Vincent Carlton would like to thank the imagination for giving him aliveness on this day. And he wishes to apologize for ever thinking that he was in control over said intelligence. He now surrenders. And back to your regularly scheduled programming. Hello, chickadee. Just warming my hands. Just warming my hands. And getting some sunshine. The sun is a natural anesthetic. It's also a natural anxiolytic. So not only does it reduce pain and inflammation through mere exposure, but it also has mood elevating principles, mood elevating effects, i.e. the reduction of anxiety. As they would say in Spanish, vale la pena. It would be worth absorbing a good 15 to 30 minutes of sunlight daily to come in contact with your star child and umbilical cord. Of course, all of the food that you eat is sun power. All of the plants were fed it, and all of the animals that fed off of that you eat is the same as eating light. Of course, God's burden is light, so you might as well lay your burdens down on such things. We're almost there. Just going to warm up my other hand now. Very nice, very nice. How's everyone doing here? Calling for an owl in daylight. Sissy says, beautiful colors in the sun. It is most beautiful today. Cass, or Kaz, if I said it right. Thank you for saying enjoy. And thank you for following. Divine Mother says, beautiful sounds. Thank you, Divine Mother. Sissy says, I see a lot of trees with their limbs spread out that want hugs. I think that's a suggestion. Let's go find one. This one has a marker on it. It tells you what's east and west and where the stream is. Let's give a huggy wuggy. Hello, tree. I didn't ask your permission, and I hope you don't mind, but I really love your negative ions. I love when you give me your free electrons, and I love to give you my carbon dioxide. And in all seriousness, I seriously thank you for your aliveness on this day and for letting me hug you, knowing that you have to stay still, and I have all of this mobility, and I did it without your consent. I want you to know I do appreciate you. There's a hug. Achievement unlocked. There it is. All right, my hands are nice and warm now, so thanks to hematite and red jasper. Can't go wrong with a little hematite and red jasper. You see what it looks like in the sun? I do. Tyler, thank you for the heart puff. Sissy, you're more than welcome. This is the hematite side. Let's see if we can get this there. Yeah, this is the hematite side, and then this, let's see if we can get it. There we go. This is the red jasper side. It's really such a beautiful stone, and it feels so nice. I just squeeze it like this, and it warms my hands up. And I can keep squeezing this in my pocket, and it warms up even faster. But it keeps the hands, and look at how that fits. This is a good healing stone right here. for the physical body. Hematite for the physical body and emotions. And any form of jasper has huge protective qualities to it. Jasper is a very underestimated stone. Red jasper, great for the body, for circulation. Anything that has ferrous oxide, very good for the body, for healing physical ailments. Then, of course, you can have yellow jasper, which is great for abundance, but more so for the elimination of gossip and self-talk that's destructive. Yellow jasper works really well with that. And then you have green jasper, which is a manifestation stone. I found a nice one of those one day, and it's in the shape of a pillar. So it's really nice, releasing negative ions, free electrons from the earth for manifestation purposes. And then you have the very rare blue jasper, which only occasionally, very rarely shows itself. And that has a number of properties having to do with the subconscious. Very beautiful, very soft stone at that, indeed. It's a nice feeling stone to have a jasper in hand. I turn to the jasper more than pretty much anything else. It's just a good one to have. Good one to have around. They're very easy to come by. Anywhere there are agates, it's likely you'll find a jasper just hanging around. So they're really easy to come by, very prolific, and they have great healing properties. And of course, the default when it comes to jasper is protection. So just general protection. That's the story that I believe. And that's what I love about stones. Every stone has a positive to it. The stories when we talk about stones are all positive. There's no stone that gives you anything negative, really, unless it's the eye of the beholder. Everything from tiger's eye, which is a form of jasper, it's a banded jasper. Obviously, we use diamond to represent infinity with the union of husband and wife in matrimony. We use gold for conductivity and malleability and flexibility. It also represents wealth, and it comes from a starburst. It comes from the bursting of a star. The birth of a star is what brings forth gold. So all of these precious metals, all of these stones, they all carry with them some property that has to do with your benefit in some way. That's why it's so much fun to explore them. Divine Mother says, crystals, candles, and plants are my favorite. Those are really good things to be friends with. I love them too. Tyler says, root and sacral combo with the hematite red jasper. Cool. Root chakra is what Tyler's referring to. That being the ground where we are rooted, and the sacral being your sex organs, that being the creative power of your body. And so with hematite and red jasper, you are, in effect, healing those areas, which is really nice, in addition to receiving the protection of these stones. Sissy says, I collect stones and crystals. We've got a lot of people who are into it. And I am a rock hound for sure. I keep my eyes open, constantly on the lookout. Thanks for the let 'em cook, Tyler. There's a commercial jet. There goes a commercial jet. All right. Well, folks, I think it's a good time now for us to make our way back. I didn't make it to the stream today. That was the original intent, but we had such a beautiful talk that there wasn't much walk until now. So just because the battery is likely on its way out and I want to get this up on YouTube as quickly as I can, let us make our way back to the point of origin. Call it a full circuit for the day. If anyone has any final questions about consciousness, the meaning of life, and manifestation, I am all ears and willing to field any questions you may have. Resources from today, ladies and gentlemen, that were discussed. Most recently, we discussed the Kabbalion by the three initiates. So if you're interested in learning about manifestation and the laws and principles of how life on Earth is made and managed, it would behoove you to look into the Kabbalion, that is spelled K-Y-B-A-L-I-O-N. So Kaiba, lion, Kabbalion, by the three initiates, otherwise known as Hermes Trismegistus, or the thrice king. Okay, you can see that, listen to it for free on YouTube through the Master Key Society, which is funded by its viewers. And it's a great collection of audiobooks that have to do with self-improvement, consciousness, and manifestation. Another great book is Neville Goddard's Out of This World. Okay? Sissy says, have a beautiful rest of your day and thank you. Thank you, Sissy. God bless you. Enjoy your stones. So the other book that Tyler had mentioned listening to is Out of This World by Neville Goddard. That's Neville-Goddard. Neville Goddard. Another great one by Neville is Feeling is the Secret. That's about a 40-minute audiobook on the Master Key Society page that is so worth your time. That in itself, if you have only one audiobook to listen to for life change, is what I would suggest. Even more than The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is a beautiful book. The one that truly will profoundly change your life for the better and for the good is Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Such a good one. What else? So we discussed the Kabbalion, Out of This World, Feeling is the Secret. Ah, yes. These are all found in Master Key Society. You can listen to Your Word is Your Wand by Florence Scovel Shinn. Your Word is Your Wand. Also, The Game of Life and How to Play It, both by Florence Scovel Shinn. The Game of Life and How to Play It, and Your Word is Your Wand. Of course, there's another one by Neville, which once you get into Neville, you probably won't stop. And it's called Sacred Imagination. He discusses how the imagination is Christ consciousness, and the ticket to your salvation. In all instances of suffering, it can be mitigated and then unwound and healed through the sacred imagination that is you. Cass says, thank you for sharing your wisdom. Have a lovely day on purpose, everyone. Thank you, Cass. God bless you for your very kind comments, always, and for your presence. So those are some big references. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Also another one. Then you could also go into The Strangest Secret. It's about a 35-minute audiobook. It's with a great voice. His name is Earl Nightingale. So The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, that's more business-oriented, but if you're interested in the idea of earning money, being prospered divinely, coming into your success, and understanding what that means, that you become what you think about, Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret is really wonderful, and it's a great listen. What else? Okay, we discussed Neville's books, Florence Shinn's books, James Allen. Yes, I'm forgetting a big one here. Joseph Murphy. You want to look into Joseph Murphy's discourses on I am. He talks all about I am and what it really means, and what a lovely narrator he is. He's an Irishman who passed away in the early 1900s, I want to say, maybe 1940s, 1950s, mid-1900s. He was a priest, businessman. So he was both a priest. Thank you for that, Cypress, for that gift, the heart me. He's a priest and a businessman. And so we have, folks, completed the first stage of the team quest. Team Cheers has been unlocked for all team members to send and celebrate, says TikTok. What about Viktor Frankl? TikTok goes the clock. Indeed, Viktor Frankl. Tell us some titles, please. TikTok goes the clock, and I will also pin them. Thank you. To be honest, I'm not very familiar with Viktor Frankl, but my understanding is this falls in line with the same principles. Cass, thank you for the gifts, the heart me, and for these roses. The 49 roses. Thank you. So, what else have I not mentioned that would be really good? I mentioned Earl Nightingale. Oh, yes, of course. You want to also look into, this would be for later on, after the Kabbalion, after Neville's teachings, and once you feel really comfortable with how manifestation works, for Florence Shin, who gives you the best affirmations, come from Florence Shin. You'll want to look into U.S. Anderson's 3 magic words. That's a great one. U.S. Anderson, that's Andersen, U.S. like the USA, so U.S. Anderson's 3 magic words. This discusses in great depth with the most brilliant of meditations. In fact, if you were to own any book, I would get a copy of 3 magic words just for the meditations that are in that book, because they're highly enlightening and great to practice morning and night. They will profoundly change your life, and your perception of consciousness shall expand and enrich itself through those meditations. And then, of course, I would be remiss not to mention anything by Eckhart Tolle. That's Tolle, pronounced Tolle, not Tolle. It's a German pronunciation, Eckhart Tolle. And you want to read The Power of Now. The Power of Now. And what is even better, I kept skipping that on YouTube, says Divine Mother, 3 magic words. Oh, it's a good one. And also the Master Key Society has that in audiobook form, but it's a longer book. It's probably a 7 or 8 hour audiobook. Brandon says this live is heavenly. Thank you, William. You're most welcome, Brandon. You're a big part of this. We're co-creating. Enjoy Noel. It's great to see you again. Thank you for coming in through Lisa Fashionista's invite. I love seeing that. And Lisa, thank you for sharing with Joy Noel. And oh my God, hi to you. Thank you. Tyler Lovell asks, thoughts on chemtrails? They're spraying in my town today. Well, they're not spraying here in Connecticut, and they haven't been for weeks. My thoughts on them are that they're not something that we want, and they haven't been explained to us in truth and entirety. There's, of course, conspiratorial thoughts about it. And then there are folks who have just plain out explained and become whistleblowers and saying what is being sprayed out. And also, there's a part of it, too, that has to do with cloud seeding. So seeding clouds to basically be a form of weather manipulation. So you can, that's a big, big rabbit hole, by the way. Chemtrails is a big rabbit hole. People like Matt from Create Elevate, he's an interesting dude. He talks about how you can use cloud busters through copper. Copper wiring in your garden can actually serve as a cloud buster. That was his way of protesting against the chemtrails and the cloud seeding and weather manipulation. So that's a big rabbit hole. Just telling you that in advance. I've given you guys a lot of reading, but U.S. Anderson was the last one that I mentioned after Florence Shin, then Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And it would behoove you to get Practicing the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's a small, beautiful book that just gives you all the practical applications for dealing with challenging life experiences. He gives you all the strategy in a very tight, like, I think it's less than 100 pages, and any page you turn to gives you a solution to pain remembrances. That's a really important one to have. So Practicing the Power of Now, I would definitely get. Joy Noel says, copper is so amazing. It is amazing. And we often have copper deficiencies, and it's required for us to have proper consciousness. It's required. I'll just leave my message here. All right. Just dropping off a little message with the earth. Don't mind me. I like to leave little notes, little affirmations. I like little Easter eggs. Cunnilinguist says, if you had to recommend an order to read, and yes, do the ones that are short and sweet. So Earl Nightingale's is like 30 minutes. I would do this. Do Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard, number 1. Then As a Man Thinketh, James Allen, number 2. And then Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret, number 3. And then I would do Florence Scovel Shin's The Game of Life and How to Play It, number 4. Then throw in The Kabbalion. It's a bit longer. That would be number 5. Out of This World by Neville Goddard, 6. And then piggyback right into Awakened Imagination by Neville. That would be 7. And then maybe U.S. Anderson's Feeling is the Secret as 8. Number 9, you could branch off in any direction at that point in time. I would even start watching some videos by Abraham, Esther Hicks. She's really interesting. She knows a lot about source energy and how to manifest things. She's really good. Abraham Hicks, she's amazing. You might even want to listen to some Bashar, because sometimes he goes into a lot of story. It might be a two-bit far out for most people because he talks about channeling an alien entity, and that kind of freaks out some people. But Bashar is pretty interesting. Of course, you have Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer talks about I Am, and then Joseph Murphy on I Am. Oh, I think that's plenty for a night. That should keep you busy for a couple days. That should keep you good and busy. Divine Mother says, I listened to her. We're talking about Abraham Hicks. On her journey, she helped me get into the vortex. There you go. The Aphorisms by Patanjali. Yes. Oh, and I forgot, of course, Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda. Has so many different books. Autobiography of a Yogi is a big one. Anything by Krishnamurti, a lot of videos on Krishnamurti. The birds want food. Okay, chickadees. Okay, let me give the birds some food, guys. Hold on. They're giving me a guilt trip right now. Let me see what we got here. Hang on a second, folks. Yes, chickadees. Yes. Hello. I know. All right. Okay, guys. Let's get you some food. Get some suet. Suet out there. All right, everybody. birds some food. They love this peanut suet. Hello, chickadee. All right, guys. It's okay, chickadee. All right. Hello, my little guys. Hello, chickadee. How are you today? How are my guys doing today? You having a good day today? It's a bit cold. I know it's a bit cold. Let's get some food. Everyone's got to eat. All right, let's get some of this stuff over here. Got some suet. Oh, the junkos are going to love this. They can peck at this for a while. Oh, I hear a little squeaker. That must be our little nuthatch. A little nuthatch squeaker. It's going squeak, squeak. Lisa says, how cute. Thank you. And Tyler, thanks for the paper crane. That was really nice. All right, let's have a look at all the guys are all coming around now. All right. A little bit more. Got to give everyone a big dose of goodies today because it's too cold for them to have to go looking around for food today. There's not even water. Everything's frozen. Hello, chickadees. Hi, guys. My little loves. You guys are the most spiritual, beautiful little creatures I've ever seen in my life. You beautiful chickadees. Hello, guys. Come on over now. Come on, guys. Everyone come over and eat. I'm going to show... You guys are going to be movie stars now, okay? Time to become movie stars. That's a house sparrow. That's a junco, dark-eyed junco. Here's our friend, the usual suspect. That's our chickadee. There's a tufted titmouse. You hear that little squeaker going choop, choop? That is the nuthatch. And they come around with the chickadees pretty regularly. Here is our friend. Oh, look at that. A Carolina wren. Hello, Carolina wren. How are you today, my little tea kettle? Tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle, tea kettle. Where's my little tea kettle? Are you hanging out there around the corner? There you are, my little tea kettle. Here's a junco. You're a brave little guy today. You guys must be hungry. You got the house sparrow. You're hungry too, little fellas. And we got the tufted titmice over here, the usual suspects, of course. Here's a tufted titmouse. Hello. Hey, guys, come on. There's a tufted titmouse. You got a big piece. Oh, you got a chunk of gold right there. That was a big score. And they have no shame in grabbing big amounts of food if they can. Here comes another one. These guys will eat right from your hand too. They're lovies. Little lovies. Big chunk of sun indeed, Canalingua. Indeed, indeed. That's the junco. They make little cute little, they sound like little laser guns. Everyone's coming around now. It's a party. It's party time. Oh, here's our beautiful Carolina wren. Here's our little friend. Ooh, big breeze, guys. Big breeze. All right. Hello, chickadee. I didn't even see you there because you're such a little love. You're a little love. You're a little hammy. You're a little ham. Look at you. Yes, you're a good little lovey. You're the most beautiful little creature I've ever known. You know I love you. Yes, you know I love you. You're listening to me. You have a good meal now. You're the sweetest little thing. Hello, junkos. Bones, thanks for following. Divine Mother says, I really love birds. Well, these guys are my my pals. We got birds all around now. You can see there's tons of them all around here. And two. Right, guys? Two. And they like that I'm around too, because they know that the predators won't come near me if I'm around. So, hello, chickadee. Are you having a good day today, my little chickadee? Are you having a good day today? Because you're a lovey. Because you're a sweet lovey. Two. Ariel says, hello, beautiful. I'm so happy you love the birds. Two. They sing and talk to you every day, says Divine Mother. All right. Hello, two. All right, guys, you have your meal. I'm not going to bug you anymore. We even got the Carolina Wren showing up today. Our little tea kettle's here. Okay, guys, I'm taking off. I'm going to move slowly, so don't be scared. I'm a big lumbering oaf. Don't worry. It means I love you. I'm just turning. See you later, guys. See you later. And that's going to do it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a beautiful broadcast. I want to thank you all for being here. We had a great time. You can expect this live broadcast to be up on YouTube. The link is in my bio at some point this afternoon. Okay? Keep on keeping on. Remember, every time that you're thinking, you're placing a seed in the mind of God for manifestation. So treat yourself well. Treat yourself to a vacation every day through your meditation. Know that you are divine and deserving of wish fulfillment. Lisa says, I missed most of it. It's okay. It's going to go right onto YouTube momentarily, so don't worry about a thing. Matthew, thank you for your time. Thank you for your kindness. Randy, thank you. Love you all. The birds also love you too, so I'm going to just send you on off with the birds. They're going to fight for that food. Spoiled little rascals. They are. They're so spoiled. All right, guys. I love you all. Thank you, Cunnilingual. Have a great day. Thank you, Brandon. Love you all. Nos vemos. Nos vemos.